We're going to watch as Erin comes in, and you can see that it takes a few moments and she immediately sits down. It's a lot to view and to really get a sense of how it is that she's walking. So we'll repeat this walking in on her crutches a few times so that you can get a better understanding, a better observation of actually how she's using herself with her crutches. So we'll run this for you a few times.
Huh? Oh, you remember you came in New York for that, yeah. Sit down. And you have the physiotherapist who came with you. She's a nice girl, and oh, yeah, that's good. Sit, take a rest, take off your shoes. You're doing nicely, yeah? Pull here, it's easier. Here. That's right.
Dr. Feldenkrais is very, very happy to see the child, and he recalls meeting her once in New York. And there's some things perhaps that we should notice before we talk a little bit about the child's walking and how she uses herself. First of all, the room itself is not very therapeutic-like. You see that there are bottles all around. In a moment or so, you'll see that there's an ashtray full of cigarettes. It's rather non-clinic-like. People are sitting around in everyday clothes. And the second thing that's of interest and note is that Feldenkrais sees the child and he's actually very happy to see her. He's very welcoming of her, and she seems very happy to see him also. And so now we'll talk for a moment about what it is that we saw in her walking. We see that, to begin with, that her legs do not fully extend, so that muscularly we might say that both her hamstrings and her quadriceps are unable to go to either their full length or full contractive abilities. She's not using her skeleton, her leg bones, to hold her upright. Her legs cross each other, which means that she doesn't really transfer her weight fully from one leg to the other. Her hip joints do not open laterally, that is to the sides, but most importantly, she does not move her pelvis forward and upward when walking, which, if she did, she'd be able to lengthen her legs. Her breathing would improve and her head would be aligned more centrally over her rib cage. Instead, she leans heavily on her crutches and walks mostly with her arms, so her shoulders, head, and neck must be obviously very stiff. Her feet do not touch the ground in a heel-to-toe rolling manner, so her ankles, Achilles tendons, and calf muscles must all be being used rather inappropriately. So one of the questions arises, of course, is that there are so many parts of her that could be used better, perhaps, structurally speaking, skeletally, muscular alignment. And the question again is, where could you start with her? Would you use a muscular approach, a skeletal approach, ligaments, tendons? There are many ways to look at her from a skeletal, muscular point of view, or perhaps a functional one. Another way of asking would be, what use of herself would, or what key component would most facilitate her the most? So let's continue on for a moment and see how the interaction between the child and Dr.